Hello and welcome. My name is James Tracy. I am the founder and creator of the Wasatch Front's Don't Like Agents program. I'd like to personally thank you for requesting a copy of my report entitled Exposed Unethical Tactics Being Used by Real Estate Agents Today. I hope you find the information useful and you'll be able to be on the watch and look out for things that agents are using to try and get your business. Here I have a little bit of picture about myself and my family. That's my wife Maggie there, and my oldest daughter Isabel is with me. My other daughter Ruby, and my youngest son Gavin. And we live here locally. We have pretty much my entire life. And I just wanted to create this video to explain a few different things, to go into more details about the Don't Like Agents program, what it's about, what it's designed to do, and also to talk about a unique method for selling your home based on strategies used by the world's top investor. So with that, let's get into it. Okay, so what exactly is the Don't Like Agents program all about? Well, first of all, this program was created exclusively for people who plain and simple do not like real estate agents. It was created as a way to give back to the community. You know, when I got into this profession, I didn't just want to be a real estate agent. As you can see from our banner, it is our mission to donate over $10,000 to local charities every year, and that is my mission. And the third reason for this program was I wanted to help educate people and their families about the real estate process. And I'm going to get into more detail about that here in a few minutes. But again, as I mentioned, what is the mission of this program? Well, as I mentioned, it is to donate more than $10,000 to local schools and charities each year. So how do we do this? Well, we will donate $250 of each transaction, and we give this money to the school or a charity of your choice, wherever that may be. We can donate it to a local school, so if it's a school that one of your children attends, or if there's a charity that's close to your heart, we will donate that money to them. And we also have additional fundraising opportunities that we conduct throughout the year. So let's get into a little bit more about the unique way that I mentioned of selling real estate using top investment strategies. Now, what I wanted to preface with this is this approach goes against all conventional wisdom. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. So if you've ever used a real estate agent in the past, or if you've sold a home in the past, this approach is completely different. So throw everything out that you may know. And I came up with this strategy based on techniques that are used by the world's top investor. Okay, now you're probably asking yourself the question, who is this world's top investor? Well, I'm referring to, of course, Warren Buffett. Now, I also want to be very clear. This program is unique, as I've mentioned, and there might be times when this is not for you, and that's okay. You know, we're not in the business of working with everyone. I don't want to be an all things to everyone. I realize that there are people that are not going to like the way I do business, and that's okay. You know, we prefer to keep things small. I prefer to operate more of a boutique style of business. You know, I have a confession. As you saw in my report, I don't sell 100 to 150, 200 homes a year. That's not a goal of mine. It never has been. I like to keep things small. When you choose to work with me, you're going to get me. And likewise, you know, I want to make sure that you're the type of client that's going to work within my system as well. So it works on both sides. Now, along with that, the strategies within this program are based on big picture thinking. This is not the usual process that you're used to or that you've heard of. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this program. First and foremost, one of the reasons why I did this was real estate professionals just aren't respected today. And what is that number one reason why? Well, it's a lack of trust. People just don't trust agents anymore. Call it the advancement of the internet, whatever you will. There is a major lack of trust within this industry, and quite frankly, many people are looking for a better way, which is why, in my opinion, and also according to statistics, why the rise of for sale by owners. You see, ever since the recession, the number of people who have been trying to sell their home on their own has risen actually steadily for the last 5 or 6 years. Whereas prior to that, the majority of people sold their homes through real estate agents. So people are changing their thought process. They're looking for a different way. There's been a massive shift in the marketplace, and I wanted to work with those folks who, plain and simple, don't like agents, hence the name of the program. Now, let's talk about some of the program highlights. Now, first of all, our program offers strategies that will keep your home from sitting on the market for 6 to 12 months with absolutely no activity happening whatsoever. If you've sold a home in the past, either on your own or with another agent, you know what I'm talking about. Oftentimes homes sit on the market for a very long time, in which raises the question, in our marketplace where listings are really low, why is that happening? Why do homes sit on the market and never sell? The other situation that you're going to find, and one of the program highlights that we offer and the strategies we offer, is we're not going to come and ask for a price reduction from you every 30 days. It's not like the typical process. You see, if you've sold a home with an agent, you know what I'm talking about. They come into your home and they tell you what they think you want to hear. And honestly, it's a predictable process. It's not realistic. They tell you what they think you want to hear. So you say, wow, I like what I'm hearing. I'm going to go ahead and hire this guy. And voila, there you go. Well, the process, as I mentioned, is very predictable. So if you've ever hired an agent in the past, you've probably interviewed multiple agents where they come and they give you their listing presentation, whether it's on their iPad, their flip chart, whatever the case may be. It looks professional, whatever you want to call it. However, they're all exactly the same in some shape or form or another. The only difference is that each agent has a different price for your home. Now, let's say, for example, you've got a home that is worth, I'm just going to throw out a round number there, $200,000. Agent number one says your home's worth $195,000. Agent number two says it's worth $200,000. Agent number three says it's worth $210,000. So, which agent do you think you're going to hire? Well, the logical choice, most people would think, agent number three, because they give us the highest number. I'm going to get into why that would be probably one of the worst decisions you can make. Now, going back to our scenario, so you have the three agents that come in. You're not impressed with any of them, so you pick the one that you dislike the least. It's an ugly process. Again, predictable. So you pick that agent. They come, they stick a sign in your yard. Your home gets up onto the market. You have a few showings here and there, but no offers. 30 days comes and goes. Another 30 days comes and goes. And after you've had about 3 or 4 price reductions, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to give in and sell ridiculously low because a buyer is going to look at what you originally listed at and they're going to say, wow, if they started way up here and they've already come down to here, then I can probably lowball these guys. Or you say to heck with it and you let the listing expire and you're left feeling frustrated and angry because you didn't get your home sold in a timely fashion and for an amount that works for you. You see, we see this all the time and time again and again, which is why we choose to take a much different approach, an approach that is based on Warren Buffett's investment strategies. This approach is significantly different than anything you're used to. Matter of fact, it's a major shift in thinking. And to understand this shift, we need to understand why things are bad with agents. Well, the underlying cause is real estate greed. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this here in a few minutes, but real estate greed is alive and well in our society. Now, there are a number of reality shows that I enjoy to watch. Shark Tank is one of them. There's some other Celebrity Apprentice I really enjoy, but there's a show I watch every now and then on CNBC called American Greed. And it's a show that I don't think they're going to cancel anytime soon because they always profile some type of individual who duped people out of a lot of money. Recently, they had a profile on a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Cosmo. Now, you may or may not have heard of him, but he was given the nickname of Mini Madoff. And if you know who Bernie Madoff is, you know who I'm talking about. Well, his story was he duped investors out of $400 million in a 2.5 year period. And it wasn't until he was caught that the investors were interviewed, and they said, the interviewers asked the investors, why did you give your money to this guy? And they said, well, he was likable. We liked him. We felt like we could trust him. But the underlying problem was he was a fraud. And it wasn't until a couple of investors were wondering about the returns that they were supposedly supposed to get that they hired a private investigator, and they said, hey, can you look into this guy for us? Well, this private investigator figured out that he was a fraud in just 2 days. And the reason why is this investigator, number one, knew where to look, and number two, he knew what he was looking for. I go back to the real estate greed. Now, my whole goal, my whole purpose with this is if I can educate you on where to look and what to look for, that you can learn to protect yourselves from quote unquote greedy real estate agents. Because the fact of the matter is this, is that the public just doesn't trust real estate agents. And the sad part is most people that we work with within this program find us after they've had a horror story. Either they had a terrible experience selling their home, or they had a horrible experience when they were buying their home, whatever the case may be. And I look at the most recent Gallup poll, and overwhelmingly, 80% of the people polled, which if I remember correctly, I believe it was well over 10,000 people, said they don't trust real estate agents. Matter of fact, real estate agents only ranked higher than, get this, politicians, telemarketers, and used car salespeople. We are in great company, folks, let me tell you. Again, real estate greed is a huge problem. And it goes back to the fact that people in general, our basic human programming is we want to believe that everyone's a good person. I mean, if you think about it, if you've ever met somebody for the first time, you don't know them from Adam, you truly want to believe that they're a good person in their heart. And you probably want to believe that I'm a good person listening to this video right now, but again, you don't know me from Adam, and that's okay. My hope is that by educating you and showing you what these unethical tactics agents are using, that you can, hopefully we can begin to build that level of trust. But going back to this fact that real estate greed is a problem, even though these unethical behaviors aren't illegal and they're not typically reported, they're still damaging nonetheless. And the folks that we work with have often said, man, I wish someone would have told me that. I wish someone would have said to watch out for this. In addition to our mission of donating $10,000 to local charities each year, we want and we are the voice against unethical agents. The fact of the matter is this: my colleagues in this industry, they don't like what we have to say. And the reason for that is the truth hurts sometimes. You know, we're often criticized for what we say about our agents. You know, they always say, why don't you just do what everybody else is doing? Why don't you just quit talking about this? You're making us all look bad. And I say, no, you're making yourselves look bad. I mean, you've turned this beloved profession into a used car salesperson mentality. And it's based on this foundation that we take an innovative approach. Now again, I go back to this approach that I learned from studying Warren Buffett's investment strategies. And this man just fascinates me. And you think that more agents would study his achievements, but he really has a simple secret to his success. Okay? And this secret is just his 2 rules to investing. Number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, refer back to rule number 1. It's as simple as that. And guys, I'm going to tell you that this applies to real estate. And the way that this applies is based on Warren Buffett's investment strategies, because he takes his investment approach as a common sense approach. And common sense, does anybody even know what that is anymore? Yes. It's amazing to me. He does this because he eliminates unnecessary risk. He doesn't make risky moves. And his favorite holding period is forever. He loves to buy a stock or invest in a company and hold on to that as long as he possibly can. And it's because of this he does not make mistakes. Now, what do you think if he were advising you on, say, the sale of your home, or i.e. your company or your stock? What do you think he'd tell you? Excuse me. Well, he'd say not to make mistakes. Don't be misled by agents. Don't be misled by the advertising these agents are throwing at you. Don't put your profits at risk. This would be the equity in your home. Now, we're going to reveal how you cannot make these mistakes. And what these mistakes really are is they break down into key mistakes of real estate. These are common mistakes that people inevitably make. And oftentimes they unknowingly make these mistakes. It's not their fault. They just don't know it. So we're going to cover the 5 most common mistakes. And the first mistake you need to be aware of and watch out for is this. Don't fall for gimmicks. Don't fall for gimmicky ads. Now, I'm going to show you some examples here in a minute, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Bait and switch advertising. Now, wait a minute. Bait and switch? I thought that was illegal. It is. However, it is going on rampantly within the real estate industry. All of these ads are based on someone's intent to deceive you. You know, when I was a kid, I remember my mom telling me not to tell white lies because white lies turn into big lies. So if an agent is luring you in with quote-unquote small little white lies to begin with, could they ever be trusted throughout the entire process? Probably not. And that's what these ads are based on, is telling a white lie up front, get your foot in the door, sign your name on the dotted line, and you're on the hook. So let me give you some examples. You've probably seen, or maybe you've heard, ads on the radio for something along these lines. Your home sold, guaranteed. Or your home sold, guaranteed, or we'll buy your home for cash. Any number of one of those things. Well, here's the problem with these ads. They all have terms and conditions. You probably noticed the arrow pointing to the asterisk. That signifies terms and conditions that have to be met, quote unquote. And it's near impossible. Now, in the unlikely event that it is true that this individual, for example, whoever's advertising this way says, you know, come and I'll sell your home guaranteed, or I'll pay cash for it, the likelihood is you're going to get less than 70% of your home's value. And in addition to that, that agent's still going to want a commission on that property. So again, that goes back to Warren Buffett's rule number 1, don't lose money. Now here's another variation. Guaranteed sold. Now this one's a little different because they're advertising that they will sell your home for free. Sounds good on paper, right? Well, you still have to qualify. Oftentimes, the agent will still expect to be paid. Now, wait a minute, they just said that they would sell the home for free. Well, yeah, that is, but if there's an agent on the other side of the transaction, they're not going to want to get nothing out of it. They're still going to want to be paid. And in order to qualify for this type of a promotion, you're going to have to underprice your home. That's breaking rule number 1. Don't lose money. This goes back to that rule, which leads to key mistake number 2. Don't assume that agents that sell a lot of homes are good agents. You know these agents I'm talking about. They advertise everywhere. They've got big fancy ads. They have truck trailers with their name plastered all over it, whatever you want to call it. Lots of fancy hype and advertising. This reminds me of a situation regarding a company that recently, well not recently, but went public. You've heard of them, Facebook. Now, when Facebook initially went public and they got their IPO stands for initial public offering, they were selling their shares at about $49 a share. And when they went public, there was so much hype around this company that it quickly diminished. As a matter of fact, right after they went public, those shares were worth less than half of what they were prior to going public. So, what happened with these investors? Well, they bought into the hype. And in case you're wondering, Warren Buffett didn't purchase a single share of Facebook. Matter of fact, he was spending his time investing in a little old company called R.C. Willey. Most of us know who they are. So what does this got to do with real estate? Well, you're putting your trust with an agent. So if you buy into that same type of hype, what do you think is going to happen once you sign on the dotted line with that agent? I'm sure you already know the answer to that. You know, I'm often asked why I haven't heard of this before from our clients, and the fact of the matter is because I am an exclusive agent. I work with very little amount of clients. I don't do the kind of business that these types of agents do. I don't want to. That's not my goal. And it's my desire to get this information out there. Let's move on to key mistake number 3. Don't be suckered into falling for numbers on a piece of paper. What in the heck does that mean? Well, what I'm talking about is a comprehensive market analysis, or a CMA. Now, if you've ever had an agent come to your home and give you a listing presentation, they've probably shown you one of these reports on a piece of paper, and they say, well, based on the average homes or the sales of homes that are similar to yours, your home is worth X. Well, the problem is these numbers vary from agent to agent. It's generally one person's opinion, and these numbers are based on averages. Okay, well, isn't that how we do it? No, because this is a price-driven approach. We prefer to take a value-driven approach. Well, what's that? Well, agents today don't understand the difference between price and value, because agents don't realize that not all homes are the same. They think every home is the same. Well, it's got the same amount of square footage, it's got the same number of bedrooms, got the same number of bathrooms, so it must be this price. That's not how buyers look at a home, and if you've ever sold your home, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you've put a lot of money into upgrading your home. Warren Buffett invests based on value. He doesn't invest based on price. If he invested based on price, he would have dumped a lot of money into Facebook. Well, then he'd also be one of those folks that lost a lot of money once Facebook went public and their shares diminished. We prefer to take a value-driven approach. I'm going to give you some examples. Example number 1, this home here. It's a decent-looking house. I wonder if the car comes with it. But the yard looks like it could use some work. Here's example number 2. Nice home with a nice yard. Okay? What were the main differences? Well, home number 1 was nice, but it had the unfinished yard. Home number 2 created value because it had the finished yard. So you got to put yourselves in the minds of a buyer. What is a buyer going to associate value with? Well, if you're pricing your home based on what other homes sold for, and saying, well, the average of these homes sold for $195,000, so I'm going to price my house at $193 because I want a quick sale. Are you going to get a quick sale? Absolutely. Is that what's in your best interest? Maybe, maybe not. But it goes back to rule number 1 of investing. Don't lose money. And you've just unnecessarily lost money. Because if you look at those homes that have sold, maybe they don't have the features that your home has. Maybe it doesn't have the nicer backyard or the bigger area or this or that appraisers don't look at, but buyers do. Guys, I implore you that if you decide to work with us, great. You're going to get a value-driven approach. But if you choose an outside agent, choose an agent that works on a value-driven approach. And if they don't know what that is, then you should just turn and run for the hills. It's all about seeing the opportunity and capitalizing on that opportunity. And taking a price-driven approach won't do that. Okay? Key mistake number 4. Agents tell you what they think you want to hear. Now, some agents, when they come in with their listing presentation, tout that they have a wonderful 89-point marketing plan. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to put your home on here, and we're going to put your home on here, and everybody's going to see your home. And by the end of it, your head is spinning, going, what in the world are you guys doing? And I could have sworn that some of those things you're doing was sticking a sign in the yard, printing flyers. Guys, if it sounds like BS, it probably is. Ask to see that plan in writing. Chances are most of those items are administrative things like putting a sign in the yard, printing out flyers, putting up the listing on the multiple listing service. If it seems like it's being oversold, it probably is. This goes back to the don't buy into the hype. This goes back into the because I sell 300 houses a year, I've got all these 20 little peons working for me, and this and this and this and this and this, and it goes back to the most important thing of all. It's about value, not hype. Key mistake number 5 is not taking the time to properly diagnose the problem. Well, what does this mean? Well, if you've ever had to take your car in to be looked at because your check engine light comes on, a good mechanic is going to hook it up to his machine, run some diagnostic testing, and let you know exactly what the problem is. A bad mechanic is going to look at it and say, oh, it looks like you need a new transmission. And you're going, wait a minute. You haven't even looked at my car. How in the world do you know? I mean, now I don't really think that I can trust you. And honestly, that's just fraud, which is probably why mechanics aren't high on that trust list either. Guys, be patient. Research. Make your own decision. This is why Warren Buffett is the world's greatest investor. And it's why we're able to get such good results, because we give common sense advice. We don't give out hype. We just give the truth, the plain and simple truth. And if you agree with what I've said, hopefully you'll want to learn more. But there are a couple of things that you should know. Number 1, we don't do listing presentations. If you decide to have us come help you with your home sale process, we're not going to come over and pull out an iPad and a flip chart or this or that or whatever until your head's spinning. That's not how we operate. What we do is we give you a detailed diagnostic report. Just like your car that needs to be fixed, we're going to find out what the problem is. We don't do market analyses. We look at pricing your home from a value-driven approach. Our approach is different. We're not going to tell you what needs to be fixed without first giving a diagnostic test. We're going to tell you the truth. Whether it's good news, bad news, I'm only going to tell you the truth. Okay? Now, the process starts with a real estate diagnostic test. It's free. Don't worrying about paying for anything. There's no obligation whatsoever. And it may not be for you, and that's okay. Because like I mentioned before, we don't work with everyone because this isn't for everyone, and that's totally fine. But here's what you can expect with your diagnostic test. The first appointment, we're going to collect some information to give you a proper diagnostic test. If further tests are needed, we will determine them after the first appointment. If further tests are needed, we'll determine them after the first appointment. Now, and then at this point, we will mutually decide if moving forward makes sense for both of us. Guys, this is the end of the video. I hope that this information has been useful to you. If you want some more information, there's a form below this video here that you can fill out, and I'll get back to you and get scheduling your diagnostic test, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much, and have a good day.